Well, an emergency food bill awaits Senate approval in Argentina. There are concerns of malnutrition after years of harsh austerity measures. Felicity Huffman apologizes for her role in the college admission scandal. The actress was sentenced to 14 days in prison. And Kristen Stewart gets honored at the Deauville Film Festival, a celebration of American cinema. The actress being recognized for her contribution to the industry. Next week, Argentina's Senate is expected to approve an emergency food law. The bill was first passed in 2002. It would provide a 50% increase in food assistance programs to some of those who are most vulnerable. France 24 visited a blue-collar district to see what life there was like.
In this working-class neighborhood in Buenos Aires, as in many others in Argentina, schools now have to take care of the enormous need of feeding children. They come from poor families devastated by the crisis. Most of them arrive with empty stomachs.
At home, they don't have a proper dinner. Usually just a broth or an infusion.
But the rations provided by the government have been getting smaller recently, and they provide almost no meat.
We aren't receiving bread or snacks like we used to, like small sandwiches, cereal bars and fruits, just when we need them the most. Before, children would bring these home and have them for supper.
The price of bread has been tripled in 2 years, so those who can buy less, while others buy none. Faced with this emergency situation, more and more bakeries are giving away their unsold goods.
Desayuno, almuerzo, merienda y cena.
Breakfast, lunch, snack, and supper, those are long gone. My only daily meal is now the breakfast, thanks to the bread I get from here.
The line keeps getting longer week after week. People waiting in the cold are now from the lower middle class.
Nobody here lives on the streets. We have a place to stay. But we don't manage to feed ourselves anymore, to gather money to buy food from the store.
So Argentines protest almost daily. They demand a response from the government, jobs, a way to feed themselves. Today, social organizations occupy the plaza in front of the presidential palace.
People can only get food at soup kitchens now. Everything has fallen on the backs of civic organizations. And the needs are growing, and it's getting harder for us to respond to the level of hunger in the nation.
A food emergency bill is now being discussed in the Congress. But the social crisis is getting deeper every day.
Zimbabwe's longtime leader, Robert Mugabe, will be given a state funeral this Saturday. About a dozen African leaders are expected to be in attendance. Mugabe, who passed away last week at the age of 95, left behind a mixed legacy. He was reviled as a tyrant, overseeing human rights abuses and an economic collapse, but he was also praised as one of the country's first freedom fighters. Mugabe died almost 2 years after former army loyalists forced him out of office in 2017. In the United States, actress Felicity Huffman was sentenced to 14 days in prison for her part in a college admission scandal. The Desperate Housewives star admitted to paying $15,000 to have her daughter's exam answers secretly corrected in 2017. Parents and athletic coaches were among the 50 people charged in the scheme, but none of the children were indicted. Moni Francis has more.
Felicity Huffman arrived at a courthouse in Boston on Friday to learn her fate. Once inside, with husband and actor William H. Macy at her side, a judge sentenced her to 14 days in jail, followed by a year of supervised release. She also has to pay a $30,000 fine. The Desperate Housewives star and Oscar nominee admitted to the crime of paying $15,000 to boost her daughter's college entrance exam score. In a statement after the sentencing, Huffman said she accepts the court's decision, admitted she broke the law, and said there were no excuses or justifications for her actions. Huffman is the first of 51 people indicted in a massive cheating scam in which wealthy parents paid to get their children admitted to some top American universities. She's been ordered to report to prison on October 25th.
A tropical depression near the Bahamas has strengthened into Tropical Storm Umberto. This as a country is still recovering in the aftermath of Hurricane Dorian, which had killed at least 50 people, though another 1,300 are still reported missing. Climate change is worsening the impact of such storms with increased rainfall, rising intensity, and higher storm surges. The UN chief visited the country Friday and told reporters that Dorian's damage in the billions of dollars could only be recovered if rich countries contribute to climate and development financing.
And one thing is clear, climate change is already here. It's not a threat to the future. It's happening, and it's happening with devastating impacts. And so it is absolutely essential to have a very relevant investment in resilience and adaptation.
Well, a new poll published by the Washington Post says 2/3 of Americans believe that President Donald Trump is doing too little to tackle climate change. Activist Greta Thunberg delivered a message outside the White House: never give up. The 16-year-old Swede has inspired youth across the world with her urgent call for change. And next week, she will testify before Congress on the invitation of Democrats. Mario Sofos has more.
Calling for immediate action from the world's governments to halt global warming, Greta Thunberg and nearly 1,500 protesters gathered outside the White House, home to a decidedly climate change skeptic administration.
This is very overwhelming, and to just never give up. We will continue, and see you next week on September 20th.
16-year-old Thunberg has garnered international attention by inspiring and giving a voice to a fresh wave of climate change activists, a new generation that's trying to persuade the old guard to take action. She was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize earlier in the year due to the millions of people worldwide that she has galvanized to climate action. Last month, Thunberg crossed the Atlantic Ocean in a solar-powered boat, arriving in New York City on the 28th of August. While in Washington, she is set to give an address before Congress. She's in the capital for several days of rallies and lobbying efforts before a global climate strike declared for September 20th.
The powerful French mayor of a wealthy town west of Paris has been sentenced to 4 years for fraud. Patrick Balkany was accused of not paying millions of euros worth of taxes and hiding assets from the French state, including 2 luxury villas. Andrew Hillier has more.
This was the moment the fortunes of one of France's political power couples came crashing down. Not long after, Patrick Balkany was already heading straight to prison. The man who was once the untouchable mayor of an upmarket town west of the French capital will spend the next 4 years behind bars. His lawyer says they'll appeal the verdict. Patrick Balkany and his wife Isabelle had been found guilty of carrying out tax evasion on a massive scale, all while he served as mayor of Levallois-Perret for the Republicans Party, a post he has held since 1983. Investigators have been wading through the couple's financial dealings since 2013. What they uncovered was a complex web of offshore shell companies, foreign bank accounts, and frontmen around the world used to hide millions of euros worth of assets. Judges ruled that the couple had failed to pay what's known as the Solidarity Wealth Tax between 2010 and 2015. The tax is levied on people's assets. They were also found guilty of consistently underdeclaring their taxable income between 2009 and 2014. In all, it's estimated that the fraud cost the state around 4 million euros. Among the list of assets that the pair hid, the luxury Pamplemousse Villa in Saint-Martin, a semi-autonomous French island in the Caribbean, and another villa in Marrakesh that the Balkany's deny having bought. But this is only the first of 2 judgments to come. Both are also accused of corruption and money laundering. The verdict in that trial is due to be read on October 18th.
Here in France, Kristen Stewart arrived at the American Film Festival in Deauville to receive a special prize for her contribution to cinema. France 24 went to meet the icon of the generation.
Limelight since Twilight. Kristen Stewart graced the Deauville American Film Festival on Friday, where she received a prize recognizing her career achievements. The 29-year-old rose to fame in the vampire-themed franchise Twilight, but has also starred in a string of critically acclaimed films from directors including David Fincher, Sean Penn and Woody Allen. On the red carpet, she left fans enchanted.
It was super. She was accessible. I was at the press conference earlier. She signed things for everyone and took photos. It was nice.
For the film's 45th edition, Stewart was busy promoting some of her recent projects, including Seberg from director Benedict Andrews. The film tells the story of Jean Seberg, the new wave actress investigated by the FBI for her links to the Black Power movement in the late 60s. Like Seberg, Stewart has fallen in love with France.
It's great. It's a very, très tranquille, like it's chill. I feel like we just talk about movies all day, and I'm staying an extra day. Just by chance, I get to sort of check out the town. It's really pretty. I'm happy to be here.
Having starred in a number of French-directed films in the past, the Francophile actor may appear in other projects here in the future.
After a 2.5-year makeover, the Châtelet Theatre has reopened its doors. Artists from around the world are taking part in a performance that mixes circus acts with contemporary dance. France 24's Alan Gainsford and Clovis Casali had a sneak peek.
Plunged into a magical universe. Visitors were welcomed to the reopening of the Théâtre du Châtelet by some curious characters. Short scenes inspired by the fantastical world of the French composer and artist Eric Satie played out around the theatre.
The scenes are really great. I'm queuing for the next one.
Ever the eccentric, Eric Satie claimed that he only ate white foods. This dinner party plays out his fantasy. And this is just a warm-up act to an evening of festivities inspired by Satie's ballet parade.
It was kind of famous for being a collaboration between 4 artists: Eric Satie, the composer, Pablo Picasso, the designer, Jean Cocteau, who wrote the scenario, and Léonide Massine, who did the choreography.
In the main auditorium, circus artists from around the world took to the stage, including the talented acrobat Alexandre Roya, who's as at ease on a bar as with an aerial hoop.
I go above the orchestra pit with all the musicians. It's a special event for us, too. The public might feel that even for us performers, we are kind of going to a show, too.
After more than 2 years of renovation, the Théâtre du Châtelet is finally opening its doors again to the public. The work costs more than 32 million euros and was financed partially by the Paris authorities and partially through private donors. With its new lease of life, the theatre is hoping to welcome a wider public and shake off its slightly elitist image.
That's it for this bulletin. Thanks for watching, and please stay tuned to France 24.